Well, the back and forth on this tariff war has been dizzying to follow. Mark Carcasole joins us now from outside the U.S. consulate in Toronto to walk us through the timeline. Mark, there has been so much back and forth going back to March of this year. How did we get from there to here and this new threat of 35% on Canadian goods?
Crystal, to quote a great poet named Jerry Garcia, what a long, strange trip it's been, right? This whole process, yes, actually, I guess, technically started in March, but really goes way back to November of last year. But you're right, the first actual measures of this trade war were passed in March. Let's sort of try to recap all of this for you in the brief period of time that we have here. It all really started in earnest March 4th. The U.S. imposed a 25% tariff on products from Canada coming into the U.S. that aren't encompassed as part of the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. The U.S. also imposed 10% tariffs on energy resources and critical minerals from Canada. Canada retaliated that day with 25% tariffs on a range of goods coming from the U.S. worth about $30 billion. And individual provinces responded as well. Many of them, you'll remember, and still have, took U.S. liquor off of their shelves. Some of them have brought it back, but many of them have kept that going. Many of them also stopped granting jobs to American firms. On March 12th, about a week later, the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports, including those coming in from Canada. The next day, Canada imposed 25% retaliatory tariffs on more American products, including steel and aluminum, worth about another $30 billion or so. On April 3rd, the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on all automobiles coming into the country. And then about a week later, April 9th, Canada retaliates with a 25% tariff of its own on U.S. vehicles. Then there was sort of a bit of a lull in things. There was a lot of threats, things pulled back, delays, things that never came to be. And then it all started up again last month. June 4th, the U.S. upped its steel and aluminum tariffs to 50% for every country except the U.K. And then just earlier this week on Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened a 50% tariff on all imported copper. The next day, he announced that that would actually go into effect on August 1st. And then, of course, we learned from a Truth Social post last night that the president is now threatening Canada specifically with 35% tariffs on all goods as of August 1st. Now, the jury is out as to whether this is another negotiating tactic on the part of Donald Trump. We've heard experts say that perhaps negotiations between Canada and the U.S. have not gone the way either country have liked. They had that self-imposed deadline, which is coming to pass. And we've heard from Prime Minister Mark Carney that that deadline has now been pushed to August 1st. So negotiations are by no means over. We expect that the two sides will continue to negotiate in hopes of, in Canada's part, heading off that 35% tariff. But there's still a lot of wheeling and dealing going on behind the scenes, Crystal. This is just the latest thing, the latest push from the White House. We've still got a long way to go before we see where things actually end up. Back to you.
Mark, thank you so much. Important timeline to review there.